I never drove my first car. When I was 13, I bought a car 3 times as old as I was, and I gave myself 5 years to get it running for graduation. It was the first car I pointed a camera at. The only reason I have the confidence today to stand in front of a camera is because I took the chance back then to stumble in front of a camera. But it didn't work. I never had the engine and the brakes working at the same time. When I moved out when I was 19, my mom kindly asked for her garage back, and I sold my Cricket. My Cricket may have been gone, but my passion certainly wasn't. I have owned over 50 cars since that Cricket. I've done manual swaps to Grand Marquis, and I have made videos of every car I could get my hands on. But throughout all of that, something has always felt missing. Because I still have all those expectations and the anticipation from my 13 to 15-year-old self that I was gonna drive this car. I don't know what it was like. And now as I stand here, closer in age to the 40-year-old Cricket than the 13-year-old who bought it, I'm gonna change that. With this, my 1972 Plymouth Cricket, which is replacing my blue 1971. A couple words to the wise for people who are looking at getting rid of their first cars. First, don't. Second, if you are, keep the number of the person you sold it to. Third, don't have a car as rare as this if you're also going to get rid of it.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
I have never seen one at a car show. I've never seen one in the wild. They don't exist. This car was 2,000 kilometers away from where I live when I finally found it after years of running a wanted ad on Kijiji. I had to buy this one. You don't get to shop condition, you don't get to shop price, you get to buy the one that comes up because they don't exist. Don't get rid of your first car, but also, don't buy stupidly rare ones.
Here comes Cricket, coming through.
As we start tearing into this car, there's going to be a lot of small hurdles, but the license plate that's on the back of it is going to be the single biggest thing I have to overcome. You see, the car is from Alberta, which is another province. I live in British Columbia. This thing needs to pass an inspection before they'll give me a blue plate. To get a car running for the first time in 31 years isn't impossible, but to get it running well enough that you can drive it to an inspection facility and have them pass it, well, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Well, maybe this'll help.
I really don't think I should.
Yeah, you still don't think so?
So I actually bought this car in 2019, and I had grand plans to fix it in Grand Prairie where I bought it from and drive it home here in Kelowna. It didn't happen. I couldn't get the brakes to work, I ran out of time, and I left the car in Grand Prairie and went back up to get it with a truck. I haven't touched it since. That's 5 years, 6 years I guess now, because it's 2025, that I haven't really looked at this car. It's running on the same 5-year-old fuel, so let's get an idea of what's really under the hood. This brings back some memories. This is a 1972 Plymouth Cricket engine bay. The only engine you could get is this 1.5 liter horsepower machine. It's a single overhead cam engine. It makes 55 horsepower.
So much torque, the chassis twisted coming off the line.
With the single Stromberg carburetor that this one has, or if you went for the dual carb option, you got 75. I have this video here of the first time it started. It isn't running all that well, and it does have a water pump leak. Although it can't be too bad because it still has coolant. But I have a new water pump regardless. Once this runs, it's a pretty simple car. Let's go take a look inside. I haven't been there in a while. I just cleaned this shop and now I'm gonna pull all the garbage out of the Cricket. I don't know where to put things. Motorcycle helmet. Hey, the coat that I'm pretty sure she's looking for. This is actually a box of parts from my donor Crickets. I've bought a couple of parts Crickets. Wow. So this is the under the dashboard cowl, and these cars have manual pump. So the vacuum pump is actually here on the back of the steering column, It manually pumps washer fluid up to the windshield. These are super sweet. I have another carburetor, another alternator, and 4 matching hubcaps. And we will continue. .3 brake fluid that was upside down, which is probably what the pool of fluid is. Registration. Unregistered in-transit permit from Grand Prairie, from Grand Prairie to Kelowna. I did put insurance on this car. I was planning to leave. September 26, 2019. For $24.95, I was going to drive my car, legal to the Alberta government, back to British Columbia. Weirdly enough, for how small this car is, at 6'1", I still fit in the car okay. It's not overly cramped. A 183-piece Stanley ratchet set. I wonder if I can compare these and see how much inflation has hit us since 2019. So I have to look at this car in the idea that I'm trying to get it in out of province. The windshield is immaculate, which is fantastic. That is a weight off my shoulders. The dashboard cover is atrocious. Ooh, I hope I don't need to have an interior light, because I don't. What are the chances I can find a steering rack bearing for a 1972 Plymouth Cricket? Oh no. Okay, well, the back is just full of some garbage, so let's go take a look at the trunk. That sounds terrible. I opened the trunk off of camera, and I learned that it does this. So I have to fix the trunk mechanism because that doesn't work anymore. Got a wheel bearing. I've got... Oh, I already own caliper kits? No way! 1 second. I couldn't remember what I bought and didn't buy for the car, and I definitely don't remember buying caliper kits. These are NOS caliper kits. These are non-original stock, which means they were on the shelf when the car was new. So these are from 1972 or the mid-70s, probably to the early 80s, when people were still trying to build these things. So these are from England, and they're caliper kits, but these are centric caliper kits where these are Girling, who made the brake system. These are newer, but probably cheaper parts overall. I didn't know I bought these, so that's cool. I could have fixed the calipers ages ago when I was in Calgary last, when I got the car, and I didn't have to buy these ones from the eBay, so. Spares, I guess. Note to self, check your trunk before you buy more parts. Cool. Got myself some floor dry. The old brake shoes. I have caliper rebuild kits and I have new shoes already on the car. Freaking sweet. Goopy. Now let me show you in there. It's pretty sweet. For a car that's 52 years old and has been sitting outside since 1993. It's not doing too badly in here for corrosion. It's clear signs of sadness and definitely water intrusion, so I'll have to look at the trunk seal here. But even down here, at least I pulled, oh my, this is so gross. I pulled the drain for the spare tire compartment, and so it never pooled water. I always had that out. So it's never pooled water in there, making sure that it wasn't just filling up. The first thing we're going to tackle on this car are the brakes. I have a new master cylinder on the car, but I can't really tell if it's working properly because the calipers are also having their own issues. When you hit the brake pedal, the calipers will hold pressure on the brake pads for half an hour to an hour after you've hit the pedal. So let's get those calipers off the car and tear into them. Well, here's the moment of truth. I accidentally hit the brake pedal when I was moving the car into the shop, and I'm really worried that the caliper's still holding pressure. Oh, and it seems to be. That's okay. Boop. Oop, don't bend that soft line. Come on down. Ooh. That was not a sound I think I wanted to hear. Whoa. Here we go. One caliper. So I did this off camera because I genuinely didn't think the air pressure in the back of the caliper would work properly, but it did, and I got the first caliper rebuilt. However, I learned that if you were going to spray compressed air into a brake caliper beside your car, don't. Because what you might do is spray the entirety of your car in brake fluid and then have to wipe off your actual paint that you were trying to save. So, we're gonna try this again. I'm gonna be a little bit more covered. This is caliper number 2. We'll just take the air line. Immediate and clean. 2 for 2. I'm so stoked. So the one caliper we've completely redone already. One more caliper and this Cricket will, in an hour's time, have brakes. You're joining post-brake bleed. This master cylinder is a reproduction unit. I think I bought it on Rock Auto. And the reservoir is from the car. So I swapped the reservoir over, I put new O-rings between the reservoir and the master, and we just bled the rebuilt calipers. The calipers are actually working fantastic. I'm only one person, so I can't actually do much testing. But if I have my handy dandy stick, the caliper turns. I hit the brake, the caliper doesn't move, and I release the brake. That's the key part. Once I release the brake, caliper spins again. But every time I hit the brake hard, the pedal goes to the floor and the reservoir fills up and overflows. And I'm not sure what to do about that. I think the internal seals are failing again because it is also dripping down the bottom of itself. I think I'm gonna have to try to order a third master cylinder and see if I can maybe fill it, let it sit for a couple of days, and then try to bench bleed it and see if that'll help all the seals expand. Ignoring the brakes for now, I think I wanna see how the car runs. I'm gonna put fresh fuel in it, I'm gonna run it up to operating temperature, and then I'm gonna see if the water pump leak, it's still gonna be there. I don't know why I'm checking. Because I'm dumb. I wanna see the car. I'm gonna see if I can make the car run well, and we'll see about the water pump leak. That smells terrible. A lot of dust and dirt and stuff right there. Oxidation, I think this is good. That's good grit for the fuel system. I think every fuel system needs a bit of grit, right? Fun fact, I pulled the drain plug out and nothing came out, but my gas gauge was reading half. I think it's stuck again. One down. 5.3 gallons. It feels much better when you say 20 liters rather than 5 gallons. I feel like you're getting more fuel. Oh, are you full? It's leaking. We got a leak. That's new. Not a big fan of that knowledge. I had this tank out of the car. There was no leak. Unless the neck leaks. I think I spilled fuel in the neck, which ran down the neck on top of the gas tank, and then off the side. because it seems to have stopped now that I've stopped pouring, so. Apparently about 30 liters is how much it takes to fill this tank. Just a little fuel leak. I'm gonna open the garage so I don't die of fumes. This will be a genuine, cold start. I don't think I've run the car for a week or so. It's about 0 degrees Celsius or about 38 Fahrenheit, I think is how that number works. Kind of a bit bright there. All right. Ooh, probably needs a battery, eh? No power. Try the other battery. Battery number 2. Door buzzer goodness. Almost. All right, let's come and take a look at it. It looks like I've got a bit of a drag, probably on the clutch to the flywheel. I don't know if I can stop this. If I stop this, I bet you the other side's going. It's the engine. Running fine. Exhaust is a bit smoky. If I hit the brake, this side. Oh, look at that pedal. That's the brake pedal. Straight to the floor. If I pump it, I get something, but that is not a good brake pedal. So that certainly needs more parts. All right, let's see if I can kick it off high idle here. Running like a champ. She's not running perfect. She stumbles. But I can't imagine we burned through the fuel that was in it. I'm gonna pop the carburetor off and see if I can make sure the diaphragm's moving. I have no idea what the timing is set to. Water leak is coming back, much to no one's surprise. The coolant leak has started again, which means I do need to replace the water pump. Doesn't leak any coolant when it's off, but it does seem to leak coolant the moment you run it for any period of time, especially up to temperature. So I'm gonna not run the car anymore. I'm gonna replace the water pump, I'm gonna check the valve lash, and I'm gonna go from there. Oh, you definitely haven't stopped leaking, I guess. Cool, KKKK. Where are you leaking from? So many places. I just came to the back of the car and noticed the massive fire hazard that is the multiple fuel leaks the car seems to be having. Just gonna plop you down there. You can watch the fun while I try to do something about that, I guess. Wow. Okay, that is not good. This toolkit is just full of gas. Too loose. Oh yeah. Fuck. I don't feel overly safe in this shop right now. Yeah, okay. Not entirely sure what to do about all this. If I make floor dry clean it up, then I just have flammable floor dry. If I don't do anything, then I just have to wait for it to evaporate. That doesn't seem smart enough. Yeah, okay, so this car is turning out to be farther away from running than I was giving it credit for. Cool. Note to self, don't dismiss fuel leaks as probably fine. They're not. I'm taking an evaporation standpoint on the fuel leak in the back. It's stopped, it's no longer leaking, so I'm gonna let the fumes dissipate, and hopefully that makes this place not quite so much of an electrical and fire hazard, as I don't believe any of the four of us have a fire extinguisher up here, so that's good, that's good. Let me remove the coolant, a slightly less flammable liquid, and get to work on the water pump. You don't need to come with me as I replace a water pump. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut from here to right. Hello, I am back, and I'm sorry to say that I've been cheating on you a little bit. I worked on the car without you guys. I got that gasket on the water pump and I sealed it, as well as I lashed all the valves while you weren't here. It was riveting stuff, I know. I put a tube of goop on top of my water pump and made it all not leaky anymore. Next, we're gonna be doing the transmission because the clutch in this thing just slips like crazy. So I've got a new pressure plate, clutch plate, throw-out bearing, and release bearing, I think. So that I'm gonna start trying to drop this thing. It's a little frosty here in the shop, which is why I'm wearing my full snowsuit and I'm consistently wearing gloves. So I'm gonna throw you on a time lapse. I'm just gonna start working on the car and we're gonna get that transmission dropped and see how that old clutch looks. So I was just under the car doing some inspecting and getting some parts off for the transmission to come out. And I knew things like the torque boxes over here that you jack the car up on, I knew those were gonna need to get replaced. And I was just gonna build a couple and weld them in. But as I was working on the transmission bell housing bolts, I came across, let me see if you can see this. Oh yeah, there we go. Dirt's getting in my eyes, this is great, this is great. This, which is the closest thing this car has to a frame rail on a unibody. And, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh, yes, good, good. Oh, yummy, yum, yum gumdrops. Oh, look at that. Fantastic. Let me just pull some of it. Oh, great. So good. So good. But the bell housing, they're all done. So now I just have to get the drive shaft bolts out. And then I will do the things I need to do, because that's the challenge, is get this car on the road regardless of what comes up in my way. Onward. So I feel like dropping the transmission by myself on my back in a shop with just a jack really seems like a great idea that I'm gonna make sure I film it instead of time lapse it for the nothing that will go wrong. I need a wrench. I'm not yet too old for this, but I'm getting there. Do 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 do. The camera stopped recording right as the transmission came out of the car, but it is actually out, so it's not that bad. There she be. I'm going to slide it out from underneath, but I figured I'd come and see why the camera beeped. That is one Plymouth Cricket transmission. Do you believe the spark plugs are in as I do this? This is how much horsepower this thing's going to make. Okay. Oh, there was some compression. Promise I lapped the valves. Somehow, makes enough power for this clutch to slip. There we go, okay. Actually, that's dry. All right, looking at this thing in the sun, it actually doesn't look too bad. It's got a fair amount of life left in it, but it slips like crazy. Pressure plate doesn't have any big wear marks on it. I might keep the pressure plate around just as a spare because they're hard to come by. But I've got a new pressure plate and a new clutch, so may as well throw everything new in there. But not too shabby. There's the transmission. Transmission notoriously known for being one. Yeah, goes behind that engine. We're going good. Water pump should be sealed. This is probably all I'm going to do today. Throw the clutch in when I come back next time. Bow, bow. They're here, they're here, they're here. Oh, I wish I had a heater. Guys, I'm so excited. I have to tell you things. Ooh, I made a mess. Okay, I've done some things because I don't seem to be able to stay on track, but also things are here. I just can put this down. Here's the dashboard. I decided to take it out, but I'll tell you about that in a second. They're here. This is a new in-box, not a remanufactured unit, brake master cylinder for a Plymouth Cricket, still with plugs, never installed in a car, with matching brake reservoir. I'm going to fill this up, let it sit for like 2 weeks, let all the seals inside, get brake fluid for the first time, expand a little, get used to the feeling of brake fluid, and then, and only then, I will start hitting the brake pedal. So that is one of the things I should do today. But I'm cold, so I'm gonna get changed and then walk you through kind of what's happening. I've had nothing but a coffee today. No, and it's gonna be cold because I left it here. Okay, as you can see, it's busy in the shop right now. After I took the transmission out, I then looked at the car and said, should I go home or quickly pull the dash out? Because the dash was beat up and I knew I needed to fix the cluster. So I did that, because. And the great thing is, here it is. The bad thing is, I don't have anything to fix it right now, but it's out of the car and kind of in my way now. It also means that I currently have the transmission out, but I don't have the pressure plate off at a machine shop to be resurfaced, so I can't put that back in. I have the new water pump in the car, but I never put the rad back on because I just moved on. And I have the gas tank empty to stop the leak, but I didn't drop it and figure out what the leak was. And I have the diff empty because I resealed it, but didn't have fluid to refill it. So now I have a very disassembled car, and I have brake parts I'm excited about. I'm just going to be taking more of the car apart. So I think today will be spent getting the dashboard out of the way. I'll just take the one piece that I need to build the cover for, put the rest of it away. I'll put the rad back in. I'll put the front of the engine back together. I'll pull the pressure plate off to have that resurfaced. And then I will install my brake reservoir. And realistically, that's probably all I have time for today. But I think I'll just calm down and kind of fix my already started projects. Because not having a clear idea of what you're doing is going great so far. The speedo wasn't working, but when I pulled the speedo out of the back of the dash, it looked like it wasn't hooked up correctly. So I have a new speedo cable. I'm gonna see if I can spin it and get something to move. Don't let that fall. Can you see it? Can you see it? I am moving the two. All right, watch this. I'm gonna roll this thing over. I'm gonna add miles to my car and reduce its value. This resale value is going down as I do this. So yeah, I totally have a working speedo. I don't know why I'm still doing this. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure we're motoring now. I'm probably doing like 15 miles an hour at this speed. I think I'd rather just add miles to the car by driving it, but you know. Now I have an important question regarding the brakes. I'll ask it later. Stay. I'm going to put the front of the car back together so that the engine can once again run. Yes. Because. This Cricket's a little bit odd. Now that I look around it some more, there's something called the Decor group, or the Decor package, which gave Crickets a few extra features, such as pinstriping on the side. That's usually the easiest way to tell from the outside whether Cricket is the Decor group. Mine doesn't, so I didn't think it was. Mine also doesn't have the 2 extra dials in the gauge cluster, which is oil pressure and I think oil temperature, I think are the 2 ones that it gives you. And mine doesn't have either of those. So in my mind, I don't have the Decor package. But the Decor package also gave you 2 horns, which weren't optional separately, and my car has 2 horns. The Decor package gave you the side pockets, which my car does have, and the Decor package gave you little louvers in the back. Apparently the non-Decor package doesn't have that. So my car is a Decor package in some options, but not in all. And so far as I've been reading, you could never get individual options. It was you did or did not have the Decor package. And I just don't understand why my car has half of the options from that package, but not all of them. Maybe it was a car made on a Friday where they just weren't paying attention to what this thing was supposed to have. Part of the reason that I am trying to get my small jobs finished is because the car is starting to look a lot like my blue one did when I was working on that one first, where I blew it all apart thinking I would restore it in some grand fashion and really got in over my head and just didn't know where to start with it. I didn't know how to put the engine back together, the interior was disassembled. It was just a mess well outside the scope of my skills. So I don't want to make that same mistake with this car, which is why I'm trying to systematically work through each problem it has, one by one, until the car is sorted once more, or sorted to start. I was down in the States, and I stopped at an O'Reilly's to get a headlight and some coolant for my Delica, because I wanted to be nice to my little van and, you know, keep it happy on the road, running for years to come. And it repaid me by snapping its rocker arms, snapped 2 rocker arms in the south of Washington, causing me to have to get towed to a random guy's house where I got to put 2 new rocker arms on my van in his driveway. Really nice guy. There's a heater that I keep behind me here that I should really stop knocking over. Neato burrito. Brakemaster. Now there's an important question to ask regarding my Brakemaster cylinder replacement. I have 2. I bought both. One is a Girling, who is the same manufacturer that made the brakes on the car. The other one I have sounds cooler. Lockheed. They build airplanes.
We are Lockheed Martin.
We are ahead of ready.
Which seems like I would want their part on my car. Airplane grade parts. Sounds cooler than Girling. And the other problem is they look identical, and these being 50-some years old, and I bought them together, I have no idea if either one of them has actually been interchanged at any point, because there's no brand stamping on the parts themselves. So this one looks less rusty, so I'm going to use that one. And now that's going down my frame rails. Nifty. This is why that frame rail has no paint. All right, Mr. Brake Line, give me my... Wow, the pool of fluid coming out the back of my Master. You are thundered. Goopy, gross brake cylinder mess. You can go on the ground. Not my problem. So with these, I can bench bleed it on the car using the brake pedal. I can just put it in, slide the bolts on it, let it sit with fluid for a week or two, and then I can use the brake pedal to push it. That'll get all the air bubbles out of here, then I'll pop these out and throw the threads in. So I'm hoping, this being original equipment, is the same size brake fitting as the rear. Because that's two different master cylinders have had it not be the case. Let's install my Lockheed airplane parts.
We are Lockheed Martin.
Oop, that one filled up immediately. I forgot how much smaller the rear is than the front. Well, we're already doing well. There is no immediate leak from the reservoir onto the master itself. I am not touching you for the next week. I have never had a Cricket with a working engine and working brakes at the same time. Don't get excited, don't get excited. Don't get excited, don't get excited. Don't get excited, don't get excited. I'm getting excited. Don't get excited, don't get excited. Clutch time. How am I gonna keep the engine stationary while I undo my pressure plate? Oh, that's, yeah, Oh, I am so sore. I don't want to be under a car right now. Okay, that was definitely the play. Oh! Thumb time. Oh, I'm just resting my head in a pool of brake fluid. Fantastic. This is the hoodie I wore here. Ugh. Oh, you're heavy. Ogly smokily. This frame is so rusty. What am I even gonna do? It is an absolutely gorgeous day here, February 1st up in Canada. I don't know how it's so warm, but it is lovely. So I'm gonna jump on that. I am driving the car today. It won't be finished, but the transmission, the diff, the clutch, the flywheel that I got back from the machine shop, the carburetor will all be working, and the cooling system are gonna be working perfectly. But I'm gonna be able to drive it around the property, put a little bit of a smile on my face, and get reinvigorated to start on the suspension and the bodywork. So let's get to it. Okay, I am genuinely nervous. The brake master cylinder is still holding fluid. It hasn't leaked between the master and the reservoir, which is a first for one of these cars. I'm gonna hit the pedal. I should see some bubbles coming up here, which will be bench bleeding the master cylinder, and it shouldn't start leaking out the bottom here down the booster. So much to clean this shop. Okay, hitting brake pedal. All right. Oh yeah. Okay, so it's going up and down to the floor without bubbles now. Can you see if there's any fluid coming down off the bottom of the master?
Nope.
No way. The pedal is moving nicely. I can feel a smooth progression. I don't see any fluid coming out the bottom. We're gonna pop the plugs out and hopefully these threads fit because most of the aftermarket master cylinders have different threads for the rear brakes, which makes it really annoying. But this one won't. So I don't have to worry about that. This is making my year. All right, that feels tight. Okay. I'm gonna try to get the brake system some pressure. Is it leaking out the front? Mm-hmm. Or the rear?
The front with one, whatever that one is. It's not. It's coming out of, like, past the bolt. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is that because it's the wrong threads?
No, it's just because it's dumb.
Oh.
It's because it's bottomed out and I don't know how to get it in more. It doesn't have any more in to go.
I already tried.
Brakes on a Cricket. Brakes on a Cricket. So no brakes again, of course, because Crickets. Since I'm not going to be driving the car today, I'm no longer worried about having the gas tank still be in there. So I think we're going to go to the back of the car. I'm going to fill the diff to make sure that doesn't leak. And I'm going to drop the gas tank to figure out why that leaks. So let's head back there. All right, I have the gas tank out and drained, and you can see on the side here, there is just that little rust hole right there. It's causing my fuel leak to happen. So once I get to that level, it pukes out the side. The top seal seems okay. The rear seal for the pickup seems okay. I'm gonna replace all of these. Look at these, broke while I took them out. All the vacuum lines in the top of the car are just brittle and aged and sad. I could probably break this one in half. So I'll have to get new ones of these. I'm going over to the fuel drain. This is the film that's on the inside of the gas tank. It's just delaminated off the walls, so that's great. I've already pressure washed the inside of it when I pulled it out of the field the first time, and I don't know, it just still keeps coming out with more because I can only access so much of the tank through all the holes. So now I'm gonna go work on the clutch, put that on the car. Okay. And I think, in my mind, I'm going to be able to freehand this in here. Have it under my leg. Oh, what I probably wanted to do was have the bolts for any functioning part of this thing already handy. Don't hit my face, don't hit my face, don't hit my face. Oh! I don't have the throw bearing in the clutch, I don't think. No, I don't have the new release bearing in. Good, 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 good. Right. I am being challenged today, and it's not putting. It's fine. It's fine. This and this are two throw bearings that I ordered. One in 2019, I guess, when I first bought the car, and one now. They're both the same brand. Both boxes have the same part number. Both of these are different than the release bearing that came out of the car, but also both of them are different than each other, so they're not equal, even though I've ordered doubles of the same part, both listed for this car. And the master cylinder doesn't seem to be leaking, but the shallowness of my brake fitting is too short. So I need to cut it, get a longer one, put it on, flare it, and stick it in, and then give it pressure to see if that then works. So, nothing has worked today on this car. So, the diff's full. I filled up the diff, and it's not leaking. I love cars. Cars so fun. Cars, fun. I love cars. It has been 3 weeks since I was up here last. After I figured out that the two throw bearings that I had didn't fit the car, even though they're both listed for it, and I figured out that the one from the car was bad, which are over here, literally left where I was sitting before, I ordered another one off of eBay, off of a picture, to make sure that it was the right one. And after 10 days, they sent me a message saying they couldn't find it. So then I ordered another one off of a picture that they then eventually shipped, but it took 2 weeks to ship, even though it was like 2 states down from us. So it's been a while. But I have it. It goes on and in. Oh my Lord, if you fit, I'm gonna be so yes! Yes! I have a throw bearing, I'm putting the transmission in the car today, I'm putting the gas tank back in the car today, and I'm driving it out the door to make sure it works. I also have a brake flaring toolkit. So that is today's goal of car move good today. Yes. Perfect example of ambition meets cluelessness. Oh,
Oh no. Oh, good. Been doing that for a while, eh?
Wow, wow. I had the wildest dream last night, guys. I had a dream that I came up here and worked on the car, and in an entire day, all I managed to do in my dream was blow a hole in the gas tank, strip my clutch cable, and break my new brake flaring toolkit inside of the brake line. Wow. Can you imagine? Wow, what a crazy dream. If that was actually how a day up here went, wow, that would suck so bad. Wow. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Wow. Yeah, so this is the clutch cable we're going to be installing today that my car has always for sure needed. And yeah, so it's going to replace the one in the car that is sticky. It's very sticky and it doesn't work very well. So that's why I'm putting the new one in. Yeah, yeah. There is something so cool about new old stock parts. Like this part is the same age. Like look at this packaging as the car. It sometimes... Yeah, Hillman Avenger Plymouth Cricket left-hand drive 1970. I think it's super neat. This is one of the warming moments of working on this car where other times there may be some troublesome moments. I'm having a bit of fun here. So the clutch cable that I definitely didn't strip yesterday is out, which is fine. I put the new one mostly in, and I'm learning that I may have just opened up much more work for myself. Not much more work, but just more work. And I gotta clean this floor. But anyways, I'm trying to install the clutch cable. I've got it lined up through there, and I'm looking at that piece of metal right there. And I'm thinking to myself, well, it doesn't look all that factory. I know the English weren't that great at building cars, but it's not that bad. And then I'm looking down here. It looks as though the clutch ripped itself through the firewall at some point, and then that bracket on the outside of the car was made to hold the clutch instead. But what it means is because this cable is not old and stretched like the old one was, the distance between the hook that the clutch cable goes into and the clutch cable itself, it's not long enough, and I can't get it to reach. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to try to rebuild my firewall, so I'm going to have to try to modify that bracket. But this is the kind of things you run into when you're trying to fix a car that was daily driven for 23 years. So that bracket, which is attached to the car somehow, I think, is what I'm working... Okay, I'm going to just undo the brake booster, I guess. Thing there. No? Okay. Does this count as not removing the master cylinder for the, you know, it's just the booster. Oh yeah. It's almost like I've had a brake fluid leak there at some point. Mint. This was sitting in the pan, so this is the plate that the previous owner affixed to the car to hold the clutch in, that I have to now make a new version of that doesn't hold it so far out. Now, of course, I didn't have a 3/4 inch drill bit lying around, but I did have this Ford flex plate. It's got the perfect size hole in it for my clutch cable to go through, so a little bit of measuring and a little bit of cutting, and I have the brand new partition for my Plymouth Crickets firewall. Okay, we've got it fed through the 4.6 liter flex plate, and if I come around into the car, bada bing, bada boom, I have it hooked on the clutch pedal. Now I'm going to flare this brake line with the definitely not previously broken flaring tool. You know what, those two don't look overly dissimilar. All right, for attempt number 537.2, I have the clutch cable in the firewall with a new partition made. I have gooped the outsides of it so that it has a bit of a weather seal, as well as the booster back in the car with its own layer of gasket. I'm now pulling the rear system and seeing if I can get it in a way for this to thread in. Now hopefully this seats at the bottom and my seal is good enough that I'll be able to just fill it, hook it up at the bottom side there, and we are good to go. Both lines are tight. Okay. I'm not even sure I have enough left to fill the car because I poured so much through the car. Turns out that's 100% of my brake fluid, so I can't fill the reservoir. Today is not the day I will be testing the brakes again. But the flare seems to be good, the fitting seems to be good. I'm gonna do the drive shaft, the bell housing bolts, and the fuel tank. I have painted the gas tank, I have the new lines on the back of it. I'm gonna feed the fuel pickup into it, throw it in the car, and then that should be good to go. One of the things out of the way. Two down. Up you go. So good. So far, so good. So good so far. To steal a line from Vice Grip Garage, well, I'll be dipped. I think the Cricket is holding every single fluid that it's supposed to. The diff doesn't look to be leaking, the gas tank doesn't look to be leaking, the water pump hasn't leaked since I sealed it, but I haven't run the engine yet. And the rear brake system, even though I haven't put pressure through it, doesn't yet appear to be leaking. Because it's got the right flare fitting on it, it might just hold. I might have fluids sorted in this car for the first time ever. I've never had a Cricket hold all its fluids. Okay, okay. I just ran to the parts store. I have not hit the brake pedal yet. I have filled this up. It won't be as pressurized as if it was bled because there'll be a lot of air bubbles in the system. But I can now hit the pedal with both fittings in the car that are likely not going to leak. Tiny, tiny bit. I think that's all that brake fitting has to give. I don't think I can go any more. I'm gonna give it like 8 pushes. I think that is dry. That is a dry brake fitting after I press the pedal. But I can't count my chickens yet because it isn't under pressure. The rear system is completely unbled. The front system is completely unbled. So any pressure might change that. But currently, it's good. It's good. Okay, gonna leave it. That's all I can do for right now with that. I'm gonna put the trans in and see if I can get the clutch to work and see if the trans, clutch, flywheel, all are happy. Starting to get dark, the evening is coming in and there are silver linings, but of course there are clouds. I'm gonna bring you down here. You'll see that the brake booster, the master cylinder, sorry, has no leaks. The transmission is filling up. I've got all of it hooked up. The clutch feels absolutely fantastic. I am just waiting for the transmission to fill before I can fire it up. But my cloud is, I definitely still have a gas leak out of the exact same 2 places that I had it before. I'll have to drop the tank, just do it in a couple days. I'm not doing it tonight. I couldn't be bothered. I don't feel like it. I just want to hear the car run. So it could drive, technically. But for now, we're just gonna fire it up, run it, see if I can take the fuel level down a little bit, and then stick a couple jerry cans or catch cans underneath it. Almost. car seems to be doing okay. The transmission seems to be fully disengaging the clutch, which is nice. That's a huge improvement from before. And I'm hoping when I drive it outside, being a new clutch, it won't slip anymore. The brakes look like they're gonna hold fluid and the diff isn't leaking anymore. So a couple of wins here, but I really feel like I'm behind. I don't feel like I got as much as I needed done, and the car just stalled behind me, so clearly it's not running all that well. That is why I'm gonna give myself a deadline. June, the first weekend of June is the Father's Day car show in Kelowna, the city I live in, and it's usually our big opening season car show when you really see everything come out. I'm gonna drive the car that just died behind me to that show with a plate on the back of it. That gives me 4 months to fix everything I've shown you so far, and the things I haven't yet. I really hope this was an entertaining video to show you the realities of working on a car as weird, dumb, and old as this, and if you've got your first car sitting in your driveway backyard, or you're finding one online that looks just like it, I wholeheartedly recommend you go get it, because as frustrating as it is now, I'm sure the payoff is going to be fantastic. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode when I get all the mechanicals sorted, not just a few.
Maybe you try it.